Hi, welcome to another episode of MQ Quick Hits. I'm Cody Alexander. Today we're going to be talking about the Tite Front. We're going to go through the why teams are using it, how it kind of works in terms of fits, the adjustments to various formations, and then finally I'm going to end up talking about the dime personnel package that a lot of Big 12 teams are using on the backbone of the Tite Front. Now the Tite Front is kind of like a pseudo double eagle. It's kind of a loose double eagle. You're not going to have your ends in threes. You can, and some people do put their ends in threes primarily if you want to control the guards. But most people will run it out of a 4-eye. So the old school Okie formation, which is a little different than the Okie formation that I talk about on my website, which is a 5 shade and a 4-eye. This is kind of the old school Okie, except for they go ahead and put the 4s in 4-eyes. A lot of people will put their Okie front and line them up, head up on the tackles. This in the Tite Front goes ahead and puts them inside in the 4-eyes. Now, why do teams do this? Teams do this for really one reason. It makes the offense use double teams. By putting the 4-eye on the inside shade of that tackle, you're making that guard and tackle work together. That tackle now just can't ignore the 4-eye that's sitting right there. He has to, in a zone concept, actually work to it. Same thing with the guard. The guard is going to have to kind of work to the 4-eye, and it forces him to work too. Now, if the guard pulls, that's a really hard block back for the center. And so a lot of times in gap schemes, they're not going to have that center necessarily block back on a 4-eye. They're going to try and cut it with a tackle. Well, what that allows that end to do is really knife inside as that guard pulls. So here's an example. Let's say they want to run a same side power look. So let's say we have a 2x2 set. We're running it the Tite Front against the spread, which is what you see a lot of teams doing nowadays. So the Sam is obviously able to cover down. Now, where you can kind of steal a player in this is kind of with the Sam. Some people are going to apex the Sam, and he's going to fit off here and create a free Mike. Other people are going to let that Mike kind of fit into the C gap right there and work off of him. So if you're looking at it in terms of, hey, I'm a true nickel, I don't want my Sam in the box, I'm going to go ahead and move him out. That Mike linebacker has to now take that C gap, whereas here is your dive player, here is your quarterback player. And really the free player is that Mike and free to go. If there's flow away, he can kind of go, and then your Sam can backdoor it as he goes away. So again, going back to why teams do this. Well, if they're going to gap scheme it, they're going to have to double the nose, and then this guard is going to pull around in what I call a kick. Now, what this does is this guy has to now scoop that in. Now, if that end can knife in right now, he's already got it. Now, what this does is it allows this Mike to now work offside and kind of box this puller. If he wants to spill it, he can spill it to a Sam that's coming right here, and then you've got kind of a free hitter in the will linebacker right here. What the line is trying to do is just mash. Now, with that guard going away, that end can go ahead and get penetration, and that's why a lot of teams like this. It's not necessarily, hey, look, we've got a Mike for a free hitter, we're going to spill it to the Sam right here. It's, hey, this end at the point of attack, they have to either go one-on-one with the nose, or they're going to have to go one-on-one with the end. And if that end sees that guard pull away, because that's his key right there, he's going to knife in, and he might even be able to cut off that guard before he can even get it. So that back has to bounce it all the way outside to either a free hitting Mike or a Sam linebacker coming, or even a safety in a quarter scheme. So the why behind the Tite Front is really you're going to mash everything down. You're going to make it hard for them to run gap schemes, but at the same time, everything's going to bounce outside. So you're essentially making everything go east and west to your athletes, and your athletes are going to be your Sam and then your hybrid jet. So against zone, it kind of looks really similar. So again, let's get in our 2x2 set. Let's go ahead and get in the Tite Front. So the end is in a 4-eye, shade nose to the end. So in a zone concept, especially with a Sam linebacker out here, and you have the Mike and Will in a 30, your Jack, and then your Sam out here. What this does is it forces, that guy's not going to climb to the Sam. Most people are going to tell you, hey, we're just going to double that guy. We're going to work here. Or if we're going to zone this way, let's say it's the same side zone, they're going to go ahead and work the double team here. If he's going to peek out for anybody coming here, or if he kind of fits the alley right here, he might block back on that. But what you've essentially done is you've allowed these have to double team the end, and you've left your nose all alone. He's got to run through, and now he's got to run through. So let's say they do same side zone, he's going to probably bounce it back to a Will, who he's going to climb. Even if he goes over here, that end can come down. Now it's going to bounce even further outside, and now it's to your Sam that's basically a free hitter. So the four eyes really make the guard and tackles work together in a way that you don't necessarily see out of a four-down front or a regular Okie front, where everybody can kind of just wall to one side. They have to really work double teams. So again, let's look at it in a zone the other way. So let's say it's a zone read play. Again, 4, shade, 4, Mike's in a 30, Will's in a 30. I've got my jack, apex. Sam can go ahead and cover down. So if I'm going to go ahead and zone read, that tackle's going to have to take him. That guard is probably going to double with the nose, and these guys are going to double right here. So here's your dive player. Here's your quarterback player. You can, like I said, you can make him free and keep him as a quarterback player. The only issue with that you're going to have is as he knifes down for the quarterback, they're going to toss it out to an RPO, and you're going to have a one-on-one with the safety. So keeping with kind of hybrid rules and kind of what I've established on the website, especially in the Okie front, going ahead and removing him from the box. Here's your quarterback player. So you have the D end. He's going to cut off right here. Nose is going to try and break that, and then you've got that for the end's going to try and break that double team. That allows you to have a free hitting Will and a jack right off the edge. So if it does end up getting handed off, which it probably won't because he's going to stay wide. So if he stays wide, you're really making that quarterback trigger and go right now. So you've got the dive covered. In fact, you're about +2 right there. So if the quarterback pulls it, your Mike linebacker now, he's a free player and he's watching the quarterback. So he's not even going to step to a gap. He's really just going to stay at home and kind of watch the quarterback. As the quarterback pulls, he's going to go hit him right now. And then this is where you kind of get it to where as soon as that quarterback pulls, if he were to bounce out and let's say he misses it, you've got a Sam linebacker and you also have a safety from deep that can come and rally to it too. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, and you let your Mike linebacker kind of be a free player in the tight front. So again, why are they doing it? They're mashing everything, sending it out to their best athletes, which is going to be your best linebacker, probably going to be your Mike. Your jack linebacker is a hybrid guy that can defeat blocks. He's probably more athletic than that tackle. And then you've got kind of a +2, +3 over here on the quarterback and a +2 on that dive if he ends up handing it off. So really, how does it work? In this sense, you can see how it creates double teams, ends reading the guard. As he goes away, he's coming here, and he's either going to collect the running back or he's going to be able to make that thing bounce really wide just on penetration alone. What are some of the adjustments? Let's talk about some adjustments. So it's real simple when teams line up in 2x2. That's easy to line up in. But if teams come in and they line up in a 3x1, how does that necessarily change everything? Well, all a 3x1 is going to do is it's going to kind of change how your mic is going to adjust to it. So again, we're going to set it to the strength end, nose, 4-eye. You've got your jack to the end, which we'll talk about what you can do with him. You've got your Will and a 30 again. And now your mic can go ahead and hit. The nice thing about this is that's different than maybe a 4-down or an Okie front is that you have eliminated the fold read for the mic. The mic is not a fold player at all. In fact, he's outside of the box at this point. You've got every gap covered in the box, and then the mic is able to be an outside player. This helps with teams that love to do the snag route on the number 3 receiver. That allows him to kind of hang in that area. And again, he's the quarterback player. So his eyes are on the quarterback. If that quarterback gets it and eyes right now to the snag, Well, he can now work out to the snag. So you kind of get the best of both worlds for the tight front when you're defending the spread. And it's why a lot of teams in the Big 12 are going more towards a tight front 3-4 to really mash everything down because it's a heavy zone out of the spread. But then also you kind of get these free players, and it defeats a lot of the things that a lot of these spread teams are doing. So again, you have a Mike that can hang right there. So the adjustment in this is pretty simple. Now, what you can do here is you can either insert the jack or you can cut the jack. The nice thing about the tight front, again, is he's going to mash. So you've got a free hitter that's going to hit here. You've got this gap covered, this gap covered, this gap covered. If these two guys clamp, he can kind of hang in that area, or he can cut and then replace. The will linebacker really has just one gap, and he is hitting that thing hard. So what you've essentially done is you've flipped it. So your Mike is really your more athletic player. He's your free player, essentially, in the tight front. Whereas your Will is going to be the A-gap plugger, downhill. All I'm doing is looking at the running back, and I'm fitting off the running back. The jack, again, you can either cut him underneath number one, keep that corner high, or you can insert him again on the pass rush, and he can kind of come here and hold and build a wall right there and putting everything back to the linebacker. So in this, he essentially has to bounce all the way back to a free-hitting Mike if he's going to do that. Now, again, in a zone read scheme, if he ends up pulling it, he's right here. So let's look at kind of what the fits would be if, let's say, they run a power read out of a trips formation. Okay, tight front again, 4-eye, nose, 4-eye. Mike is now on the edge of the box. Will is going to be, you can move him into the A-gap if you want to, just because it's a trips, or you can leave him in a 30, and then you have a jack on the edge. So if we wanted to run a power read, down block's kind of easy. Down block, they're probably going to double on this. He's probably going to scoop to cut. Now you've got your power read, okay, with the guard vacating. Your Mike linebacker is the outside player, so he's the outside threat taker. He's going to take first threat. So in a power read, the reads are in, and that's why people call it an inverted veer, is because the back is actually the outside threat and the quarterback is actually the inside threat. So the nice thing about this is as that guard pulls, your jack can fold in. He's actually going to spill it. The will is, and then your Mike can now go and take the quarterback, which is the first threat in most option schemes, but now it's the running back. So now he can go ahead and go right now. So what you've done is now you've added somebody into the box. He might be able to cut it. He's going to take on that double team, and he's going to try and defeat that and get here. The jack folds back in for any kind of A-gap cutback. Let's say that tackle gets pinned and he ends up cutting it all the way back. That jack should be there really to collect it as cutback. He's going to spill it to a Mike that's already outside of the box. So even against like a power read, the 4-eye really is a great adjustment, especially if you have athletic big guys that can really kind of especially with the nose, he's going to take on a ton of double teams. And then if you've got some quick ends that can kind of take on some double teams, but also kind of read that guard and really hit that quick, you kind of eliminated a lot of what the offense is doing. I talked about it on my Dime is a New Base article about how teams try and go big against these tight front dime teams, but they don't have a lot of success. And the reason really is because those double teams on those 4-eyes and the nose, what you've created is not the inability for the O-line to climb and actually go to the next level. So here, you're looking at it, and there's not a lot for the offense to work with. Turn our focus to the Iowa State dime personnel that I talked about on my website. You're seeing kind of the Big 12 turn to this. Texas also ran it last year. Oklahoma State has dabbled in it, especially at the 4-down kind of dime nickel alignment. But Iowa State really kind of hit home last year and was one of the better defenses. And Texas was one of the, if not the best defense in the Big 12. So here you have your tight front right here. Now, against a zone-heavy team like Oklahoma State, they're going to mash everything down. The Mike linebacker and the Will linebacker will sit on top of these guards and kind of read the guards and figure out where everything's going. Now, what they've done is they've taken the jackbacker and they moved them over to the strong side. He's kind of the adjuster. He can drop back or he can move down. And what it allows them to do is they can run a cover 3 scheme, which they do here. They're going to drop him, or they can run a Tampa 2 scheme, have him be the pole runner, which by him aligning it over the top of the number 3, that's usually the person going into the middle third, or you have 2 cutting corners. So what they have done is essentially created kind of an odd stack with quarters, kind of a broken stack. Now, if he were to align over here, he could move back here, and the Will would actually vacate the box. So there's a lot of times where you're going to look against the spread, and Iowa State is in legitimately a 3-1 box with guys on the outside, but they get away with it because of the tight front and kind of how the tight front works. So here we're going to watch this play, and it's going to be an outside zone. Now, that is the one weakness of this defense, is that the weak and outside, you can kind of exploit it in some areas. If you have a cutting corner or you're sinking the safety, you still are going to have an overhang to each side. And even over here, he's the overhang. If he were to be coming back down here, or if he's already aligned up here. So let's watch the play. Checked with me. It's an outside zone, and Iowa State rallies to the ball. So again, let's look at the play again. Watch how the line kind of matched it down. You've got the Mike linebacker here. He's able to go. He's able to go right now. Kind of everything is washed to the sideline, and they're able to attack the ball. Now let's go to the next play. Now we're in a 2-by-2 formation. It's second and long. So again, what they've done is they've taken that jackbacker, they put him here, and they vacated the Will linebacker. And you can run almost like a Tampa 2. Here's your curl player. You've got him over top. So you've kind of got everything that you want. Again, mashing down, you can see the cutting corners because that's part of it. Now, again, in any cover 2, that is the hole. That's right there where you're going to get hit. Iowa State was able to kind of live through that and force a really perfect throw. And in this case, the safety has enough time to come over and knock the ball out of the guy. So again, this is another demonstration of kind of how Iowa State was able to use kind of the tight front to mash it down, and then kind of what the coverage behind it is going to look like. Thank you for joining me on this episode of MQ Quick Hits. Make sure you visit the site, MatchQuarters.com, and follow me on Twitter at @the_coach_A. Love interacting with you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up through my DM on Twitter or through the contact page on the website. If you're interested in learning more about defending the spread in modern football, make sure to check out my book, Cautious Aggression, Defending Modern Football. You can find the link to that on my site as well. Thank you.